Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Financial Juneteenth and Your Black World, and I wanted to talk for a second about a recent story that was put up on Financial Juneteenth that I think you should know about. It's a story about a Nigerian entrepreneur by the name of Chinedu Echeruo. I want to say, I hope I didn't mispronounce his name too bad. If I did, I'm sorry, brother, if you happen to see this. But I have a lot of respect for this brother because let me tell you what he just did. Chinedu actually he worked on Wall Street in the past, and he had trouble navigating the train stations and the bus stations and how to figure out how to get around New York City. And anybody who's been in New York City knows that understanding the subway system can be pretty complicated, or figuring out how to get from one place to another over long distances or across boroughs can be really tough for somebody who's not from New York. Well, Chinedu, well, after he left Wall Street in 2005, he created a company that created an app called Hopstop, hopstop.com. It's a website and an app. And I used to use Hopstop. I remember that. I remember using Hopstop as one of the first things that actually helped me figure out how to get around New York City. Well, it turns out that this brother was able to sell his company recently to Apple for a whopping $1 billion. Now, I think that's pretty awesome. Now, just so you know, there is always controversy about whether or not people should sell their company or keep it black owned. I was talking about that when I appeared recently in Hidden Colors, the Hidden Colors 4, the new film coming out by Tariq Nasheed next year. And I just told Tariq, I said, well, maintaining black ownership, I think, is important in a lot of contexts. But there are some situations where selling your company might not be such a horrible thing. When you have an app, something like an app, I'm not 100% sure how important it is to keep an app completely black owned, especially given that the market changes so fast. And you may not necessarily have the resources to continuously compete in an evolving marketplace. Now, if it's something more proprietary, more important, like a media outlet, I think that becomes a much harder conversation. And also, selling something to me is not as important as what you're actually going to do with that money. If you're just going to take that money and sit on it and make yourself into a wealthy family, then that's a problem. But let's say that you have one company that employs 5,000 black people, and then you sell it and you buy another company that employs 5,000 black people. That may not be such a bad thing entirely, especially if you're shifting and adjusting to prepare for an ever-changing marketplace. There are some companies where that are still around today where the owners have been critiqued for not being able to evolve with the changing times, especially in media. You talk about magazines and stuff like that, where everything became digital. Those who were not able to move some assets around and divest from certain areas and reinvest in other areas were the ones that got kind of left behind. But the really more important point about what this brother accomplished, which is why I wanted to bring it up, is that typically these people that first of all, there's a lot of money being made in technology. I mean, people just don't know how much money is being made right now. A lot of it's being made by white boys, but there are white guys that are selling YouTube channels for $1 billion, or YouTube networks, with just YouTube videos like the one you're watching right now. There are people that are selling websites for hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe billions. There are people that are selling apps for billions of dollars. And it's interesting to me that black people, we use technology more than anybody else, but typically we are the consumers of that technology. We are being used as props to build somebody else's wealth as opposed to vehicles to build our own wealth. So my thing is that if you're already on your phone, texting and tweeting and Instagramming all day, you might as well find a way to make it into a business. And I think that really comes down to having the desire to pick up that information instead of going down the street looking for a job. Figuring out which restaurant you could work for. Every young person should be figuring out how they can form some sort of small business, some sort of tech business with their friends, so that you can actually make some real money. The other thing is, and there are ways to do that. You can just look on the internet, go on the internet, and Google search how to start your own business. It's very, very easy to do that. You can go to financialjuneteenth.com. That's my website that I created with some partners, and we teach you all kinds of stuff about how to start a business. That's one option, but there are many, many others. And the final point I want to make about this is that people have to understand that the people who tend to make this kind of money, real quick, are not the ones. They're not the athletes and the entertainers most of the time. I mean, a few of them do okay, but most athletes don't never make any money from their craft. Most athletes never get to go pro. And so it's a really misleading way to get wealthy in America. The people that tend that do really well in the entrepreneurial space are the people who work hard, who build it, who formulate a dream and work hard to build that dream into reality. They're not getting turned up every weekend. I mean, don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean they don't party, they don't drink, and all that stuff. I mean, the guy that created Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, used to have drinking parties where they would sit around and program their computers all night and drink beer and all this other stuff. But the point though is that that kind of continuous, consistent, relentless hard work. That's really how you get to the top. When I was in college, I didn't understand why a lot of my friends on campus wanted to go to every party or just felt that the weekends were not a time to really work hard. And it didn't make any sense to me. I was like, well, if you really want something, you're going to be working for it all the time. I mean, you can still take time off. You can still chill every now and then, but you got to be about your grind, So, I mean, some people thought I was strange for doing it, but when I was at University of Kentucky, I was grinding on the weekends. I was in front of a book. I didn't have a computer, but I was, if I'd had one, I'd have been in front of the computer because I wanted to build something. Because I said, when I get older, which I guess I'm older now compared to what I was in college, I said, when I get older, I'm going to have a better life. I want to be somebody. I want to accomplish something. I don't want to be mediocre. I don't want to be working for somebody for the rest of my life. I don't want to be a scrub. I want to have something. So I guess I partly wanted to share this, number one, to let you know what's possible when you put it together and do what you're supposed to do. But then two, to kind of just push those who, look around and they see, they have other people saying, well, why you work so hard? Why don't you ever take a break? Why don't you relax? You just too serious. No, I mean, the people that end up getting that money, the people that end up getting on top, the people that end up getting there, the people that end up running things like this guy that just made $1 billion from selling his app. They work on the weekends. They grind. They don't show up to work just because some white man told them to come to work every day, or a black man, or anybody. They show up to work because they have a dream that pulls them out of bed every morning, that leads them to work until the job is done. So work until the job is done. Don't give up on yourself. Go give 100%. Go start your own business. Go do something big and give it everything you got. And don't let these scrubs around you limit what your potential is, because you'd be amazed at what you can accomplish if you put your mind to it. And I just, again, I don't know if I'm an example of that, but I have done some pretty cool things, and I've made a little bit of money, and I've been able to do some stuff that a lot of my friends that I grew up with never got a chance to do. And I don't put them down or anything like that, but I do believe in this old saying. There's an old saying that says, you spend a few years living like nobody else will, so you can spend the rest of your life living like nobody else can. And I used to remember that, back when I used to get clowned for working too hard and studying too much and being too much of a nerd. And I mean, I'm telling you, I mean, girls used to dump me because they thought because I wasn't cool. I didn't have no swag. Even to this day, I didn't get no swag for real. Oh, I'm just confident in my nerdiness, if you will. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I'm comfortable with who I am. Back when I was 20, 21, I was still trying to figure out who I was, so it was very awkward, very uncomfortable, because I was getting pressure from white people who were dealing with me, as a black man, and then I was getting pressure from black people, some of whom didn't understand why I did what I did, why I worked as hard as I did. It wasn't that there were no other people out there working as hard as me, but among my circle of friends, I definitely felt like an oddball, which is why I didn't have much of a circle of friends. So I just want to encourage you and just say, look, if you put your heart into it and you give it 100%, there's so many things you can accomplish. You are better than a job. That's for damn sure. And and if you think different, you're gonna get different. But if you think like everybody else, you're gonna get what everybody else is getting. That's all I want to say. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World. Don't forget to check out our new film, Resurrecting Black Wall Street. You can check it out at resurrectingblackwallstreet.com. That's resurrectingblackwallstreet.com. Resurrecting spelled with one S and two R's, just in case you don't know. So anyway, I will talk to you soon. God bless. Peace.